Welcome to another episode of Epic Events. My name is Candace Davis, and I'm the Director of Event Programming and Creative Services here at vFairs. And today I'm joined by Devon Pasha. She's the founder of DMP Creative LLC, a firm that specializes in helping not-for-profits, associations, and institutions of all sizes reach their strategic goals through events. Devon also serves as the Director of North America for the Event Design Collective, specializing in event design education and training here in the United States and also Canada. Welcome to the show, Devon.
Hi, Candace. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. I know we got to catch up before this, and I always enjoy our conversations together. We end up talking either about our kids or, music or specifics to event design and meetings. So I'm excited to see where this takes us today.
Yeah, me too. I always love our conversations.
Yes, me too. So before diving in, talking about event design, which you are the queen of event design, I thought I knew it until we started talking. So first, I want you to tell us where you're located in the world. And this might be a stretch, but also what your typical day looks like as a certified event designer and certified meeting planner.
I know. I love the alphabet soup. It gives so much panache to your name, even if it means you probably just do more work. I am currently located in McAllen, Texas. It's also known as the South Pole of Texas. So I'm way down here on the very, very tip, right along the border and about an hour from the Gulf of Mexico. There are palm trees in my backyard. It's a beautiful place to live. But I'm a native daughter of Philadelphia. Philadelphia is always in my heart and soul. So a native of Philadelphia, but currently residing here in beautiful South Texas. A regular day for me really varies. I love to stay in touch with the founders of the collective. So Rolf Frisson and Ruud Janssens, we talk on a daily basis to ensure that we're aligned on what our priorities are and how to move the event design collective forward. That can look like supporting our teachers. So we have 30 universities worldwide who teach our EDC YP program. So supporting them, supporting their students, getting them online. Also supporting anyone in the process of taking any of our certified event design courses. So we have 3 levels of our EDC certificate programs, 1, 2, and 3. So there's always one happening somewhere around the globe that I love to support and support those who are taking those programs. And then it could be reaching out to any of our partners at MPI, the EIC, local PCMA chapters to support education amongst their chapters. It's a beautiful alphabet soup. It's a beautiful tapestry of supporting those who want to increase their education, who want to be trained, who have questions about what we do at the Event Design Collective. It also includes a lot of things that aren't work related. So I'm a proud mom to a 5-year-old girl. So there's a lot of mom duties as well, other duties as assigned, as we used to say in the higher ed world. And that's a huge part of my day as well. So it always starts with her and ends with her and whatever adventures she and I get up to. But it's a wonderful bookend to a really professional day. My favorite part of any day is who I get to speak to and forming relationships like the one you and I got to have, whether it's serving on a podcast, a panel interview, or just talking to potential CED candidates. It's a wonderful way to stay in touch with the people in our industry who are so fascinating and varied. So that's a typical day for me.
Yeah, you definitely have that right. Starting out, with your little one and ending, that's just the cherry on top. But what we do in the middle too is a lot of fun, getting to meet each other. Like you said, I mean, when we're in this industry of events, every person I meet is so different than the person before. And the people that I meet afterwards. I love this so much. I learned so much about what people are doing out there, on site at events, virtual, hybrid, things that don't even have to do with specific to event planning, but kind of more of the organization kind of part. And
Absolutely.
What you do too really fascinates me. So you're seeing a lot more of the certifications around. I am, especially going on LinkedIn. That's one of the next things, that you have in your name is your name and then your certification. And I love seeing, of course, tons of people out there with, CMP, but also CED. And I wanted to talk specifically about the certification today, about being a certified event designer for those of you. This term is new, but I noticed that you're going to be here in Nashville in September, and I hope to meet you.
Oh, that would be lovely. So we are taking on a really ambitious plan in 2023 to bring our EDC Level 1 certificate program across the United States. So we're calling it the EDC Level 1 Roadshow. So we've gone coast to coast. I'm actually headed out to the coast this April to do EDC Level 1 in San Francisco, followed shortly by Chicago, Dallas, Texas. We're heading to the East Coast to do one in the Philadelphia area, hopefully up to Boston in August. And then we've never gotten really to go to the American South. And I'm super excited to bring this education to Nashville, hopefully to the greater Atlanta area. And then maybe this winter back to Las Vegas. We've partnered with Caesars Entertainment in the past. They've been wonderful partners, and we love to train everyone in the Caesars family on how to use our event canvas methodology. So yes, I do hope to be able to touch base in person when we head to Nashville this fall.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. And I wanted to kind of ask you and kind of get the conversation started too, because we have a lot of interesting things to talk about. But first of all, I want to know how you got started in events.
So I was bred into events, and I didn't know it at the time, but I have two amazing grandmothers. And I know that's not everyone's first answer. It usually has something to do with a job, or they waited tables, or, hey, puppers. Okay. Honestly, I really credit both of them with how I got started in hospitality. My maternal grandmother was a home economics teacher. She's since retired. She's almost 90 years old. But she was a home economics teacher and one of the best homemakers I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. I love that people really looked forward to coming to her home, and everything had a place, and there was always food on the stove and a drink in the refrigerator, but it was more the way that she made you feel welcome. You always belonged in her home, whether she had known you for 50 years or for 50 seconds. And I loved being in that space. I loved learning how people felt valued by her, and whether it was their favorite beverage or a loving hand or a fresh plate of food or a cut piece of fruit. And it didn't even have to be fancy. It was just this sense of home and belonging that she created to everyone that she met. I loved learning from her. I learned how to polish silver and starch napkins and sew buttons. And I know that sounds archaic in this day and age, but these skills were something she passed down to me. And it was more spending time together to learn how these small skills and the knowledge about how to utilize a tea service and when to use a napkin and how to address your guest, almost like early protocol education, gave me this sense that this was how you made people feel welcome. This is how you showed value in every human being that she met. And that was really impactful from a young age. My father's mother was an educator. And I always saw her as a bit of a socialite. She had a gorgeous and very well-appointed townhome in downtown Philadelphia. It was in a really posh neighborhood, or what I thought was posh at the time. It was in the Fairmount neighborhood by our big penitentiary, which looks like a castle in the middle of the city. But it was this cool townhome. She had a banana tree in her living room, and it was 3 stories tall, and these cool triangle chairs that I could never quite sit on because I always fell off the other way. But she was big on bringing people together, on bringing people with interesting stories or intellectual backgrounds and creating conversations that ignited passion and creativity and innovation. And she was so unbelievably smart and tall and stately and had this amazing presence. And even from a young age, I liked how she thought about things. I liked how she talked to other people. I liked that she was big on creating connections and was so passionate about women's education. And I think when you put those two together, you ignite something in a young person who sees the value in creating experiences, in creating connections, in creating value in other human beings. And I just sort of found my way into a profession that allowed for that. I'm still also very passionate about education. Started as a college professor actually last year and got to start teaching undergraduates, which is an amazingly enriching experience. So it goes hand in hand with training for the Event Design Collective, because it's an adult learner. And how do I foster education in you? So I realize that is a very old and long answer instead of, how some people found it with a first job or an internship. But I really felt like I was bred for it. And I get so much pleasure from being in our industry. I think this is one of the best industries in the world. It's one of the oldest industries in the world besides the original profession. But it's just something about creating experiences that bring joy, or creating experiences that create catharsis or nostalgia or education. We create memories for people. Like, what better profession is there in the world than to do just that?
Absolutely. And I love that, like you mentioned too, it really is kind of in your DNA. It's the roots, of seeing, these amazing women in your life hold such, talent. It's especially in hospitality is really kind of where my mind goes too. I feel like that's a little bit of kind of where I come from as well. My mom has always been an event planner. Really, she's had many opportunities growing up where I first have seen how you plan an event and how you execute it and what you do in your home, like you talked about too.
Exactly.
It's so important to keep up. In this modernized world. It's exciting. I'm sure you're teaching your daughter the same thing. I'm
Absolutely.
teaching mine, and she is only 3, but I'm saying, hey, listen, you're going to take over my job one day. You're going to be an event planner, I'm really just kidding. If she doesn't want to, I totally understand.
I could totally see mine being a talk show host. She is a chatterbox and loves to engage on a verbal level. She's also super helpful. So she's always looking out for ways to help a smaller person or a younger person, or to facilitate connections. And I can see a little bit of my sparkle in her, maybe a little precocious in a 5-year-old, but I love that, and how she wants to make an Instagram video and share her story with the world from a young age. So I could totally see how we pass that down to our daughters.
Yeah, I think it's so sweet. And I know with your background, in events and all that you're talking about here now, what led you to really getting involved with certification, and especially with event design?
It's a great question, and it came down to 2019, and this was pre-pandemic. This is pre when this happened. I had an opportunity to share some knowledge at a CASE conference. So CASE is the Council for the Advancement and Support of Education. So it's and if I got that acronym wrong, my CASE friends, I sincerely apologize. But it is we had a special events and advancement conference. It was a special topic conference underneath the CASE umbrella, and I was lucky enough to be a speaker. Just a breakout speaker, but it was my first conference that I got to speak at, and I totally got a conference high. I like sharing knowledge that I've gained and worked for with others, and I could see how impactful that was. Thinking, okay, I want to do a little bit more of this. And really what it came down to is I had finally addressed myself as I am an event professional who specializes in higher education. And I'd like to move forward with this. I really want to start creating my event horizon. I want to set the furthest point I can think of and start building and taking the steps to get there. And I reached out to someone who I respected. Her name is Janice Fursad. She wrote one of the textbooks I used to teach with for the CMP exam. And she said, look, we had an informational copy. She'd never met me before. I just reached out and said, hey, I really respect you. Could you help me? I kind of want to start paving this road. And she said, you need 2 things. She said, in the industry, you need certifications, because we respect certifications. We want to see that you have studied and applied knowledge, and that I know that if I say X, Y, or Z thing to you as a professional, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because we have the same basis of knowledge. She said, but in higher education, people want to see that you have done advanced degrees. So she said, you need to start 2 things. You need to start studying for your CMP, and you need to start studying for your master's. And that's how that ball got rolling. So I did. I started the CMP process just then. I reached out to friends in my LinkedIn universe and I said, how do you start the CMP process? And randomly someone said, you need to call Joanne Dennison, because Joanne Dennison is the best CMP teacher in the world. And her courses really help you see inside and process the exam. So that's what I did. I reached out to Joanne Dennison. Said, I'd like to learn more about the CMP exam. Can you express this to me in a way I understand it? How do I start? And she was very clear about all the different processes and how you start and how long it takes to study and what I should prepare for. I was lucky enough to take one of her CMP preparatory courses, which I credit with my ability to pass the exam. She also has this wonderful Take Again program, so you can take the course once, read the books, and then take the class again to kind of really solidify the knowledge or go back over things that maybe we're having trouble gelling. And I got my CMP in December of 2020 and used most of our time during the pandemic to study and to take the course. I expressed to my in-laws, I remember saying, I'm going to start building my career now. You know, my daughter is XYZ old. I'm really going to start putting energy into it. And for my birthday, they bought me her course to prepare for my CMP exam. And it just so happened that the course occurred on my birthday. So I got to celebrate my birthday and this gift with these new friends and with Joanne as a new teacher and mentor. But during that same time, I realized that I did want to stay in higher education. I worked in higher education. I've been in events in higher education for almost 17 years. And at that time, figured I really wanted opportunity to teach. And that's where the master's came in. So I started my master's program in January of 2021. I do have a master's certificate in creativity from Drexel University, which I hope to apply to finish my master's degree in creativity and innovation and neuroscience in the near future. But, you know, a master's thesis is not something to be taken lightly, especially with the pandemic and a young child. So it is on the docket to finish. And in that same year at Global Meeting Industry Day, heard for the first time about certified event design.
Wow.
And was curious. So I reached out and I got to talk to the then director of North America, Anthony Vade. I said, I think this is for me. I think I have the bug. I want another course. I want to keep learning. And this seems like 360-degree thinking, technicolor, people, empathy. And I'm like, yeah, you're speaking the language. And he was like, you're one of us. Come to me. Come take this class. And poured me a little bit of the Kool-Aid. And honestly, I was hooked after that conversation and applied to start the CED program in June of 2021, which is 100% virtual. I got my CED later that year, and I've never looked back. I've been part of the program. I've been a user of the program in my profession as a higher education event designer, and I use it every day. I used it every single day. And in my role, use the CED more than the CMP, though. I love my CMP education. I think it made me a better educator. But in terms of my work, it changed my perspective on my value in my role and really has given me the tools and the language to move myself forward in my role, but to also promote that to others. So that's kind of how it all kind of came to be. But taking my courses towards my CED was really life-changing for me.
That's so cool to hear. And I know, like I mentioned too, the CED is a little newer, to planners and organizers out there versus the CMP. But do you know how long it's been around, the CED?
So we have done 41 cohorts of CEDs. The Event Design Collective was born in 2014. So kind of do a little math, but it's a little over, I guess, almost not quite 10 years old. So they celebrate the anniversary of the Event Design Collective on Valentine's Day, which I think is incredibly sweet. So I always think about when Valentine's Day rolls around that one of the things that we love, our event design nerds, is our Event Design Collective. So Valentine's Day has an extra special meaning. But yes, we've done over 40 cohorts of those getting their CED designation. I believe there's about 700 of us currently worldwide who have the CED designation. And have worked with global companies companies across the world that are with recognizable brands, and we bring event design into in-house for them, for consultancies, et cetera, to really help them see the value of how a well-designed event can really move the needle for their industry or corporation.
Yeah, I would love to, and we'll get into this a little more too. Love to kind of get into more of the nitty gritty too with event design. Sure. I think for a lot of people that hear event design and maybe they think the actual design, that they decor, all that sort of thing, but we're talking about something very different. So I want to talk and ask you a couple of questions here about specific to event design. And number one, from your perspective, why is it so important? And especially why is it so important in the current event landscape?
So, to speak to what event design is, you're right that a lot of people use the term event design when they refer to designing aesthetics. So the furniture layout, the lighting, decor, but aesthetic design, which is very important. Mm-hmm. When we talk about event design, we talk about the process that needs to occur prior to planning. So the best analogy I can give is that event designers are the architects of the event, but they are not the construction team that builds it. So if you were told to go build a building, the first thing you'd say is like, okay, what type of building? And why are we building it? And who is it for? And what is it meant to do? And what type of design is it? Maybe what's the budget? But it all comes with very strategic questions, because a wide answer of go build a building is the same question as go plan the event. But we need information. We need to know the purpose of that gathering. At the Event Design Collective, we define event as any gathering of two or more people or groups of people that changes behavior. I think that's a really important distinction, that event design is the outcome of great event design are multiple prototypes that address desired behavior change. And what that turns into is an event that is a pivotal moment of change for your organization, instead of an entertaining evening with fingers crossed, hopes that it achieves desired results. Yeah. So what would you rather do? Take the time to design for the intended behavior change, or plan a very entertaining evening that may or may not hit the mark? Mm-hmm. And I think the latter is what so many of us are used to, and having unlimited budgets in which to do it, unlimited time, or people just expected this type of evening and look forward to it, but it wasn't really moving the needle. But we had so many more people to do it, so many more external resources, internal resources. But now we're all facing the same problems. We need to do more with less, and things cost more. So if we're all facing the same challenges, what tools can you use to make sure that those resources are spent strategically, and that every single decision made moves towards the desired outcome, which is that this event changes behavior in a desired direction? You probably want some sort of rubric or tool or metric, and I'm not calling it a magic wand, but imagine if you had a template or a lens by which all of those decisions could pass to say, is this right for this event, or is this merely entertaining? Mm-hmm. That's what an event design is. That's what our prototypes are. There's you refer back to them to say, okay, we need to achieve A, B, and C with this event. Does hiring a sleight of hand magician help us change behavior of any one of these stakeholders? Does it help us achieve these goals? If the answer is no, thank you. That's a great idea. I'd love to save that person's contact information, but I don't think it's right for this event. And I have something to refer back to support that decision. And every decision goes through the same thing. Your RFPs, your venues, the entertainment, the speakers, the experience journey that you're taking your stakeholders on. You plot that all out ahead of time. And for each experience on that journey, you have an instruction that goes along with it. Who do they need to meet? What knowledge do they need to come away with? Is there a skill that they need to learn? Is there an attitude about the corporation, the product, the people that needs to be adjusted? or given or changed. If you can take every decision this way, it makes it a lot easier to stay on target and to pave a road towards an event that really does change behavior in a desired way. And that's what event design is. That's what we mean when we talk about great event design. And then what you have is a blueprint to give to your planning team who's like, great, these are the boundaries I know I need to stay within, but I know what informed decisions I can make to get us there. And now you're all working in concert.
Yeah. And how often do you see this really taking place of planners using event design versus just kind of going in with what they already know just from previous experiences?
I think we're seeing it more now. We're definitely seeing more of a desire now to find other tools and to have planners say, I really want to like take this step. And I think that's born from the frustration of, I keep getting told that events aren't important or they're not doing their job. And I think the frustration stems from, I know that this gathering of people can achieve what we want to achieve, but I need the ability to speak to the event owner or the CEO or the VP to say, hey, we could do this a little better, but you're a little stuck in how we used to do it or how it's always done. Or you just say, hey, go do it, but you don't give me the right guidelines. Let's facilitate a conversation so I know what the desired outcomes are from your perspective. Let's take the problem, and remember, problems are just opportunities, but in work clothes. And let's fall in love with the problem. Let's look at it from different perspectives. Let's really feel like what pieces we need to pull out to achieve a desired result. And when you start with getting that design time, when you start with working on your team from this angle, you actually answer way more of the questions and reduce the frustrations that tend to happen on the back end, especially when, and I tell this story often, how many of us have gotten to the event and the president or the CEO or your VP shows up and goes, this doesn't look like what I thought it was going to look like. Or why is there a piano here? Why are we sitting on bar stools and not couches? Why is the lighting like this? Like, they have a bunch of questions because to them, this is not the outcome they had in their minds or what they wanted, even if it might be what they needed. And now your perception is that this event is not a success, or it's a success to your event owner, but it's not a success because the people who attended didn't do what you wanted them to do. So all of these frustrations are what makes our job consistently one of the most stressful in the world. But what we're trying to do is to give tools and education to allow for some of that reduction, to create alignment with your stakeholders, with your event owners, to set an overarching aim for the event that you can continually look at like true north on a compass to say, okay, we may have gone a little off track, but how do we keep going towards this overarching aim? And what you find from there is that with these tools, with these boundaries, with these guardrails, you can make better decisions and reduce frustrations on your team, reduce frustrations from your event owner, and get slightly better results from those stakeholders and attendees that you need to get. But it's not going to change overnight. It's just an increment that you changed a little bit, and now you have a good foundation for next year's increment and the one after that. So to sum up, it's coming out of the pandemic knowing that we're all facing issues and frustrations and smaller teams and lower budgets for more expensive things. So what can we do to maintain our own success? It's utilizing these types of tools and educating yourself to get those desired results, but doing it before you just pick up the hammer and nail and start building that event, because that's where we fall into most of our traps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know for some of the planners out there, they may be wondering too, because we're more familiar with the CMP certification,
yeah.
The certified event planner certification. I mean, that's really, I'm seeing a lot more of that out there, which I love seeing. But some people may ask is, do you first have to get a CMP and then get a CED? Does it matter? That's my question for you.
Absolutely. And the answer is they're completely different. And I would never say get one before the other. What I would ask is, what do you want to get out of it?
Yeah.
In terms of speaking of design, what desired outcomes do you have for your own behavior? How are you designing your own journey on professional education? What do you want to get out of it? And once you can answer those questions for yourself, you'll know which path is right. I do happen to have both. I use my CED knowledge daily. And because it gives me the tools to have better conversations, to ask better questions, to understand where my own overarching aim is for my personal professional journey and what steps I take every day, how utilizing the CED and its language of strategy and perspective and more trusted advice versus that reactive order. So it really, I would just put it back on all of you. What do you want?
Yeah.
Sorry, I think my video cut out for a second. All right. But there's no requirement that you have the CMP first. One of the main differences is the CMP is a certification that requires you to recertify every 5 years. Mm-hmm. The CED designation, which is the main difference, requires you to do a project over 6 months after taking our level 3 certificate program. During that 6 months, you will facilitate a group in using the methodology. So we don't just teach you how to use it, we teach you why it works, and we teach you and train you to become a facilitator of this methodology. And over the next 6 months, you will facilitate a group through the entire process, from stakeholder alignment through to prototyping, and document that for us. And if you do that within the 6 months, then you are conferred the CED designation, and you have that forever. We don't ask you to recertify. There is no exams. Let me repeat that. There are no exams. You do not have to take a test because the designation shows us that you can facilitate others in utilizing the methodology versus asking you to remember how many cups of coffee and decaf coffee and hot water you might need for a group of 2,000 people who has 6 coffee breaks over 3 days. Yeah, I'm just going to blank there for a second because I don't remember the coffee chart, and it was difficult and kind of confusing. That was the most confusing part, and some protocol about flags. But what I'm saying is these are, the CMP is great knowledge, and it is a knowledge exam. And for those of you who might want to just have a certification that shows that you have a width and breadth of industry knowledge, go get the CMP. For those of you who want to become strategic advisors in your organization and utilize events as strategic tools, and you are the chief wielder of that tool, come join us at the Event Design Collective. We would love to have you. We want more of that in our industry. We want to empower many of our colleagues to take that step from reactive to proactive. And we think the CED is a great way to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And for becoming a certified event designer, are there any tips or anything that you can give? I know you're one of the trainers, so you're one of the people to ask this question, but for anyone out there who's wondering, anything special that it takes or something that they should consider and think about before they actually sign up for the training?
The training is for everybody. And I really want to be clear. So one of our FAQs is, do I have to take level 1 and 2 to take level 3? Nope, you absolutely do not. It's more, what do you want to get out of it and how often do you plan to utilize this? Some people are really comfortable with our EDC level 1. It's an 8-hour day where we introduce the methodology to you, our event canvas. We do a really light touch on the stakeholder alignment, a really light touch on prototyping, and we use case studies, real work that we've done for real companies to show you how useful of a tool it is and how it can be employed and what the outcomes of that can be. The EDC level 3 is a 3-day program. And I'm going to gloss over the level 2 a little bit because it's though it's a 2-day program, the main differences are the level 1 to a level 3. And the level 3 is a full 3-day program. I like to say it's like getting a master's degree in 3 days. You learn a lot and you are very tired. But what it teaches you is not just the event canvas and the methodology and what it is. It's how it works. It's how you can take that sort of back end view of of the magic, the man behind the curtain, and you can facilitate others in how to use it. You create a common language amongst your team to achieve desired results. You empathize with your key stakeholders to understand who they are, what they need, what are their pain points, what are their jobs to be done, and how can you design experiences that relieve that pain, that satisfy their expectations, that make their jobs easier with your experience that you're designing with them in mind. I mean, how many times have you been to an event where you felt like, wow, that was like someone made that just for me?
Yeah.
And you feel moved by it and you have this great memory of it.
Mm-hmm.
That is what great event design is. So that's the level 3. We reteach you that and then give you that 6 months. And we coach you. We're there every step of the way. But this is for everyone. This is for corporate, for not-profit, for-profit, for private events, for weddings, for, great quinces, for product launches, for festivals. Like, this knowledge is for everyone. So don't think that, when I started, I'm like, I only plan events. I made myself small. I only plan events for a university. Like, okay, great, come on board. Like, I thought maybe event design was for, those of you who plan like WEC or Coachella. Like, I was thinking like, the Marcy Blooms with her $2 million minimum weddings. Like, that's who I thought this was for. Like, nope, this is for everybody. This is for absolutely everybody. So much so that we have a version of it that we teach to undergraduate students. That's how for everybody this is. And we welcome everyone to come and take our courses and to do the work to get their CED designation. But no, there's no requirements other than your passion, your willingness to learn, your openness to trusting the process as we teach it to you, and your desire and drive to do that project and facilitate a group through any type of project or any type of event. And the best part is the event doesn't actually have to happen in that 6 months.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a really...
There's no excuses, friends. Come on down. Yeah. We want to have you.
Yeah. And so the curriculum specifically for the training, has it changed at all over the past 3 years? Has the past 3 years changed the curriculum or the training part of it whatsoever?
I think the biggest change is that for a certain period of time, all of the training was online. That was a big shift. That was a big shift because a lot of the training and a lot of what makes the training stick is the in-person components. So I was one of the cohorts that took the class completely online. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the process. But I will tell you that I went to get my CED Plus last June, which is to take the course again, but as a facilitator and a coach for those who are new to the process. And it was the first time I had taken it in person. And the energy levels are so different. The ability to be creative, to think through prototyping, I think we can all feel it. Like, we know we can be productive at home and online, but every now and again, when you have that in-person meeting or where you meet that colleague for coffee or where you get to do that event in person, the energy levels change your perspective. So the big change was going 100% online, and now we're back in person, and we do insist on our trainings being in person because of the actual physicality of interacting with our canvases helps to inspire creativity, helps that innovative thinking, helps the question process continue. And it's a huge difference between online and in person. So there were changes. We adapted like everyone else, but we are going back to our in-person model. And the trainers all continue to refine how we teach it and refine the different building blocks of the training itself to help the training stick. But there are some things that won't change, like the camaraderie, how long we spend getting to know each other, because it's such an integral part of the training itself, especially the inclusivity of the trainings. All ideas are valid at an EDC level 3 training. And that's a really key thing that I want to take a moment to speak to, is so often in our ideation and brainstorming sessions at work, we're shot down, or we've already tried that, or we did that 5 years ago, or like, why do you think that would work? That's the number one killer of creativity, is that cynicism, is that in-person assessment. We don't do that in our trainings. We're like, that's a great idea. And yes, absolutely. Because your lived experience with a group of people that you're empathizing with might be different from my lived experience with that group of people. But it doesn't make any one of our thoughts less valid than the others. And what you find when you do that in person is people come out of their shells. They add more to the process. They give more ideas. They add more post-its to the board. They come up with, they're like inspired. And in our little idea quarantine about the event we might be working on, putting more and more post-its up because of the ideas that they're hearing, or because they heard something from someone and like, oh, I can't wait to share this. Or they think, oh, I know something about this group of people because I taught them, or I'm a Girl Scout leader, or I was in band practice with this type of person. It's that type of thing that it creates inclusivity amongst the teams and better teamwork. And when you see that in person, it's one of the first things you bring back to your own teams. So it's like a beautiful hidden treasure of the tool going back in person are those parts of it, not just using the methodology itself.
Yeah. So planners are meeting each other. There's nothing more inspiring to me than being in a room of other planners where we can throw ideas out at each other and say, hey, what are you doing? What are you seeing out there? What are some trends? There's nothing more inspiring to me in what I do in my role than hearing what you're seeing out there. Even when you're training and when you're meeting other planners who are, taking your course, the synergy also in that room is just electrifying. You come away really, encouraged and inspired, and this piece of like innovation to kind of like, this light bulb.
Absolutely. I just feel plugged in. And the good thing is like we create WhatsApp chat groups for all of our cohorts, and cohorts are always still chatting to each other. I'm like, hey, I did this, or like, hey, good to see you, or like, look who I met up with in Orlando, or I'll see someone post something. I'd be like, yeah, cohort 31, represent. Like it becomes this amazing supportive group. We also have all of our CEDs are in a WhatsApp. We have a huddle once a month where we come with issues, we come with triumphs, we come with challenges, we come to support one another, or just to have really engaging conversations with one another about projects. And it's a supportive community, which I can't stress enough in these times, is here's a challenge I'm facing, or hey, I'm doing a design sprint with my team and I could use 2 more people. Is anyone available Friday at 2? Yep, absolutely. I'm coming. And you might not know anything about the event or the status, but you hear the deltas, you get caught up on the brief, you hear a narrative, and you were ready to go with your ideas. And that extra influx of energy into that design sprint process really helps the rest of the current team be like, oh, there's someone else here. Oh, that is a great idea. And it just keeps the energy rolling.
Oh, that's so exciting. That gets me pumped up to you. I might want to do one of these training classes with you. Come on.
Come on, Candace. One of us.
I may need to drink that Kool-Aid. My last question for you is, what are you most excited to see this year in event design?
I am really excited this year about seeing more people find value in event design. And just like you said, it's hearing a story and being like, wow, I would like to do that. And I would like to take a step up from reactive to proactive. And I would like to ask better questions to have my leaders be like, wow, she's really thoughtful. She's, and I say she, and I don't mean to generalize event community. But I feel, oftentimes when women are asking a lot of questions, we're seen as challenging instead of asking a lot of questions and seen as thoughtful. So it's one of the things I would like to continue to change is for us to, for all event professionals to stop being seen as challenging because we're asking questions that help us do our job better. Yeah. Like you need to listen to us when we ask you questions and you need to think about the answers. And the best part is if you think about the answers, we might be able to save you some money because as we like to say, the 4th prototype for every event is what happens if you don't do it. And everyone's like, mind blown, but truly, what would happen? I mean, some of us have had events fail and the world still spins on its axis. Some of us have had events succeed and gone $100,000 over budget. The world still spins on its axis. So what happens if you don't do the event? The world will still spin on its axis. But what value does it add to your organization? Yeah. And how can we empower you with our tools and our visual language and our verbal language to say, hey, could we do this a different way? And And if you become that thought leader on your team or in your organization, and you pull up the chair to the meeting and say, I'm going to sit in this room, better yet, I'm going to pull up my own dang chair to the table. That's what I'm excited for. That's why I'm excited for this EDC Level 1 Roadshow. That's why I'm excited to train future CEDs at Level 3s. Little plug, we have 2 more left this year, 2023, if you're interested. We have 2 opportunities for you. But that's what I'm excited for, because I think we're going to start seeing a shift. I'm excited to see how many students take our YP program and meet us at IMEX, at Future Leaders Forums. It's like, I learned that in school. Oh my God, I know this. And we're like, wait, don't say anything. We're going to put you on a podcast really quick. And we ask them about it, because they're like, it's like mind blowing to them that this is a tool that they can use, and it gives them power.
Yeah.
And they can take that into their first jobs instead of taking it into their 10th job. Like, that's what lights my fire. That's what's charging my batteries right now. It's like, yes, come on, folks. Let's all go do it. Let's make sure that we are taking time to design events that change behavior. And like MPI says, when we meet, we change the world. So how are we changing the world from our perspective every day? And can I be a part of that for you? Can I help you on your journey? Let's take a step together. Like, this is the best part of the best profession in the world.
Yeah. And, many thanks to you for all that you're doing, on this front with event design and training all of these, professionals to go out there and be better at what they do and think outside the box too. And, setting people up for success within the events industry is one of the most important things, that you don't hear a lot of people talking about, especially talking about college students. Let's get this in colleges where they take it and they use it with their first job, like you just mentioned, versus on down the career, in 10 years. So let's set people up for success now. And I'm sure a lot of planners wish they had heard about this or wish that it existed a long, long time ago. But I know that it's, making huge strides, especially.
Exactly. And there's so many opportunities. One of the reasons that we have the first 100 pages of our book for free online. Like, you can take this knowledge now, and we're not keeping it secret, and it's not behind a firewall. Edco.global, 100 pages of our event design handbook. So you can take this knowledge and read it and start utilizing it. And if you're interested, you're like, I just want to learn more. I really want to get, into it. You want to come nerd out with a bunch of designers. Yes, there are training opportunities. Yes, there's more books to read, and there's amazing, communities to join. We're coming to you, or better yet, come find us. We'll come to your office. I love coming to your office. Why? Because I love your team. Like, I love you, and I haven't even met you. But let's nerd out together, and let us share this tool with you in a way that it makes you not just better for your job that you're in right now, but makes you better for you. Like, that's the best part is, and especially as a trainer, is to not just see people take this knowledge back and give it up to their teams, but you can see it makes them better. And whatever iteration that happens, whether they stay in that job for 50 years or 5 more minutes, you've made an impact on them that they're going to take to that next role. And that's that momentum that we're seeing and that we want to continue to build in 2023 and beyond.
Well, that gets me fired up and excited too. So, this chat has been so fun, super informative, very exciting too on the front of event design, and hopefully out there it's helped some planners and, event planners too, and organizers kind of get that fuel, under their belt.
Absolutely.
To get certified as an event designer, and also maybe some encouragement to get that, CMP too, for those out there who are wondering which one to get. Well, you don't have to get one, first than the other. Just go out and get, one at least. So before we end the show, thank you again so much, Devon. It's always a blast talking to you. We'll have to do some sort of part 2 as well. But where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, so Devon Montgomery Pasha on LinkedIn is a great way to find me. We share event design information there all the time. The best place to get information about the Event Design Collective, as I mentioned, is our website. So it's edco.global. You'll get to the Event Design Collective's website, where you can look for the first 100 pages of our book. You can actually download an event canvas that you can review yourself. You can go to our tool store where we have all the information on our upcoming events across the globe. So if you are a globetrotter and you'd like to get your CED, there are opportunities around the world in order to do that. The next opportunity to get your CED in the United States is to join us in June in Atlantic City at Stockton University. And in August, we'll be in Montreal, Canada at Concordia University. There's also about 8 more opportunities this year to get a level 1 training, and all of those dates and cities are on our website. Or better yet, just reach out to me personally. Let's have a coffee talk. Let's take 20 minutes to see how we can help you take the first step on your own personal design journey. And I can be reached at Devon, which is DEVON @edco.global. And I really look forward to hearing from you.
And listen, one of the talks with Devon, is life-changing, life-giving, all the things,
You're so sweet.
Please reach out to her. She is amazing. Thank you again so much for being on the podcast. And I hope to meet you later this year. I'm planning.
You got it. We'll kick our boots up in Nashville on one of those famous streets. Like, I know nothing other than it's a cool place with cool drinks and good music, but we'll make it happen. Candace, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate another amazing conversation. I look forward to sharing more with your group in the future. And again, one of us, come on, we're going to get you there.
I know. I can't wait. That's going to be exciting. And if any of you out there want to talk to us here at vFairs, we would love to hear from you as always. Please just send us an email, sales@vfairs.com. We'll be happy to help you out there. But until the next episode and lots more coming at you, peace, love, events. Take care, y'all.